What's good, YouTube? It's Justice. I used to be Pay, and today I'm back with another video. Make sure you leave a like, leave a subscribe. I'm trying to pay off that college tuition, but this should be a pretty quick one. I just real quick want to talk about how Youngboy is kind of like Tupac in a sense. He's kind of like this generation's Tupac. It's not exactly a one-to-one comparison, so old heads who are watching this video don't have a heart attack. I'm not saying Youngboy is Tupac, but in terms of their energy and how they affect people and just how everyone like outside of them kind of reacts to them, it's pretty similar to Tupac. And now, obviously, I didn't grow up with Tupac. I'm not old enough to have grown up with Tupac. I was born like 6 or 7 years or something like that after he died, so never got the Tupac experience. But from the way that older people talk about him, from the old interviews, from the way other artists talk about him, you can just kind of get a sense on the energy that he had and just the feeling that people typically got when it came to Tupac. It was almost like they were just so enamored with Tupac. And it's kind of a similar thing with NBA Youngboy, not on the same scale, because obviously Youngboy is not on the like same mainstream level star scale as Tupac, but it's kind of similar. It's similar, but it's different at the same time. It's similar in the way that like people are just so like infatuated with Youngboy. Like he's just such a hot topic, but it's different because pretty much everyone for the most part loved Tupac. Like obviously not everyone. There was obviously large contingencies of people who hated Tupac, but for the most part, the overall outlook on Tupac was much more positive than it is for Youngboy. Youngboy is maybe split down the middle. If not, he has more haters than fans. Like it's the same level of like infatuation and just like mystique around a person, but it's different because it's not all the way positive like it was with Tupac. Obviously, again, not completely positive, but for the most part, it was mostly positive when it came with Tupac. People loved Tupac. But with Youngboy, it's different. It's like almost the opposite level of energy. Like, again, there are people that love Youngboy, but it's different. It's different than Tupac's love. And I would also say the overall energy with Youngboy is slightly different. I would say it's slightly more negative. It's almost like if you took like the gangster, tough guy side persona of Tupac and ripped it from Tupac and made it into its own entity. Because obviously Tupac had the gangster persona. He literally had thug life tattooed on his stomach. But outside of that, he was more than that. You know, he was kind of like a martyr. He was a sign of counterculture. He was a sign of black people and almost like a revolution. He was a sign of a lot more than just, oh, he's a gangster rapper. There were a lot more pieces to Tupac. You know, he spoke about things. He spoke about politics in a certain way. And he just talked about things outside of, you know, just gangster gang and gangbang. Like he did more things than that. He was a lot more socially aware, a lot more socially conscious than Youngboy. And it's kind of like if you took Tupac's energy, but removed those pieces and just kind of left that gangster kind of bad boy persona, that's NBA Youngboy. He's literally that part of Tupac pulled from him and grown into its own person. And that's the major difference between the two. That's why when people say like, oh, Youngboy is the modern day Tupac, I'm like, well, to a certain extent, but not all the way. Because again, songs like Brenda's Got a Baby are a large part of who Tupac was. It's not just, you know, the lit songs, the gangster songs, I Get Around. It isn't just songs like that. Like a lot of the cultural commentary that was a part of Tupac's music is a huge part of who he was and who he is and who his legacy is, or what his legacy is to this day. And Youngboy doesn't have that. Youngboy doesn't have any social conscience, really, music. He doesn't talk about, you know, his community and trying to better it all the time. Like he doesn't really do that. So it's kind of like just the thug part of Tupac grown into a person and now walking around the world today. But the effect that Youngboy has on people is still extremely huge, close and kind of similar to Tupac in the sense of not Tupac fans. Youngboy fans are so ride or die for that man. It's insane. Like they are the Michael Jordan fans of this generation. They are the Tupac fans of this generation where all they talk about is Youngboy. They think Youngboy is the greatest thing to ever walk this earth. They think Youngboy is better than everyone ever. They're going to tell their kids about Youngboy. Some of them got Youngboy tattoos. Some of them got NBA tattoos. Like the level of almost obsession that the fan base has is very similar to Tupac's. Now, there's also a level of obsession that comes with the other side, and that's the hatred that Youngboy has, that Tupac had. Of course, somebody literally killed him, but not to the same extent of Youngboy to where the public is so split on this person. Obviously, there was a group of people back in the 90s who didn't like Tupac outside of the hip hop and rap community, if you get what I'm hinting at. But just specifically in the hip hop and rap community, there isn't that level of hatred that Youngboy gets that there was there for Tupac. And a lot of that hatred comes from Youngboy's own peers. And a lot of it is honestly, I feel like a sense of enviousness. Like there's a lot of kind of, man, Youngboy ain't all that. Why these fans love Youngboy so much? He ain't all that. He a regular. He ain't this. He ain't that. He ain't so tough. He ain't so big and bad. Like there's that sense of kind of enviousness from not only Youngboy's peers, because that existed for Tupac as well, but Youngboy's haters, Youngboy's opposition in terms of not people who aren't his fans. Like with Youngboy, it's very, very polarizing. He's such a polarizing figure. You're either gonna love the guy or you absolutely hate him. And even if you're kind of in the middle, you still mostly fall to one side or another. There's really not a whole bunch of in the middle takes on Youngboy. And it's just weird. He just has this certain energy that makes people just feel like they have to be the extremes with Youngboy. You either have to love him or hate him. And I think this generation in the future will kind of have him as a Tupac-like figure, obviously not to the same extent. And his energy all around is very similar to Tupac's, but he's like the anti-Tupac. Like he's going to have that same effect. The way people will talk about him in 20 years, I think will be very similar to the way people talk about Tupac now. But the overall energy just tends to be a lot more negative with NBA Youngboy. Like when people talk about Tupac, they're like, oh my God, he was this great guy. He had great energy, so charismatic. You know, he was always there for everybody. Like, you know, they talk about him. He could do anything. He could get a mic and have control of the whole room. Like people just loved him. But when they talk about Youngboy, it's the same energy. It's the same infatuation, but kind of different. It's like they're going to be like, oh man, everyone was scared of Youngboy. Everyone was so fearful. Like people were clutching their pearls around Youngboy. You know, he was a great artist and people had respect for him, but it was like a level of fear. Like he was just this tough guy. Like you get what I'm saying? Like it's kind of hard to articulate, but it's going to be kind of like that. Like they're going to talk about Youngboy in the light of, oh my God, he's an all-time great. He did this, he did that. But it's just all around a lot more negative. There's not this communal reflection like, oh my God, Tupac is trying to help the community. Tupac says, you know, nobody should be 100 millionaire while people are sleeping on the street. That doesn't exist for Youngboy. And it's not like Youngboy's completely negative. You know, he said recently that he understands that he has kind of a big effect on people and that maybe some of his music was really negatively affecting the youth. Like he's spoken on this. But overall, you don't really see him trying to make that effort to better the community or better himself, really. Like he spoke on it a little bit and said he was going to stop the violence and have the whole Stop the Violence campaign. But literally a month later, he's talking about drilling and killing again. Like, so it's not really ever going to be as positive as it was for Tupac. But that energy, that infatuation that people have, that just all around curiosity that they have for a person and, you know, enamor, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but that kind of being enamored with somebody is there. It's just more negative. It's weird. And I'll also say this video may come off as a little bit glacious, but that's just me trying to make an analysis of the way that people look at Youngboy. And I think it's kind of similar to Tupac's, but also you can just tell when somebody's not on a normal path in life and there's something going on here that's just not regular. Like, even though obviously Youngboy is not normal, he's not on a regular path. Like the dude went from a broke kid in Baton Rouge to one of the richest people ever in terms of like the history of that neighborhood. Like he's a millionaire. He went from a broke kid who had nothing to a millionaire. That's obviously not a normal path. He's obviously, you know, gone from a kid in the streets to a famous rapper. Not a normal path. But even inside of that, oh, he went from, you know, nothing to something. Even that isn't normal. Like the amount of times Youngboy could have had his entire career delayed or derailed is insane. But it's like every time something happens to him, he gets out of it. It's so weird. Like the amount of gun charges he's had, the amount of incidents where people have tried to kill him or, you know, things of that nature that has somehow worked out to the point where he's still here rapping on top of the world, not in jail, not dead. Like it's just not normal. Like it sounds weird for me to say this, but you can just tell this is obviously not a normal path. This man literally just beat two federal charges in one case last year. He beat the feds. Listen to that sentence. This man beat a federal charge. The feds have like a 98% conviction rate. Like, and he beat him on a gun charge. Like, it's just, you can just tell that whatever this energy around Youngboy is, it's just not normal. It's not a normal path. Most people would have been gone to jail by now. They would have been dead by now. They would have been gone to jail. Like, he's just had so many different opportunities for his career to just be completely killed and stopped. But for some reason, it just keeps chugging on. It's just not normal. I know it sounds weird for me to say this. It sounds like I'm glazing him like, oh my God, he's some deity. He's not. I know he's a regular human being. But you can just tell sometimes when people aren't on a normal path. That's not a normal path. The amount of times Youngboy ends up in a horrible situation, but still somehow comes out on top, really weird. It's really strange. It really is if you really look into it. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the end of my video. I don't really think I have that much to say, but Youngboy kind of is going to be like this generation's Tupac, but just a lot more negative. He doesn't have that, that kind of almost activist part of him. He doesn't have that Tupac have. He doesn't have that type of personality to where he's going to try and speak on things and speak for the unspoken. Like, Youngboy does that, but he doesn't. And honestly, like, if I had to be real with you, I couldn't really tell you why there's this infatuation with Youngboy. I really couldn't. Like, yes, he does the gangster rap music, and he's also very emotionally like available, which is a cool combination, but it's not like he's the only person that does that. He's not the only person that's a gangster rapper that also shares his emotions. So, it's just weird. It's weird. The level of just attraction that people have for him, it's very strange. And I can't really pinpoint one exact thing. Sure, he's a tough guy. Sure, he shares his emotions. Sure, people like to respect gangsters, and but I just can't give you one solid reason, because there are a lot of people who fit the same bill as Youngboy. People who are gangster rappers that are feared in their hoods and their communities, but also will be emotionally available in songs. Like, he's not the first person to do that, and he's not going to be the last, and he's not the only person doing it now. But for some reason, he just has it. Whatever it is, it makes people go crazy, and it makes people really, really polarized on him. Like, really, it's just there. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just there. And it's very similar to Tupac in my opinion, but it's just like he's evil Tupac almost. Now, I don't think Youngboy, well, maybe, I don't know. But he's like evil Tupac to a certain point. But maybe it is just the fact that he's so emotionally available as somebody who's seen so tough, and people can actually like really look at him and be like, nah, he's actually valid. He's not somebody where they're like, I don't know, maybe he's, they look at him and they respect his street cred and they realize, okay, he's really like that, but he's also an emotional guy. And maybe that's what makes people resonate with him so well. And they can relate to a lot of the stuff that he says in his music, especially when he just talks about growing up with struggles and, having emotional issues and having parental issues and having struggles as a kid and not being raised the right way and not really having the same opportunities as everyone else. Like, maybe that's what makes people relate to him so much. But man, the energy surrounding him is just really weird. It's not normal. And it's just not normal. And I think he really is kind of like evil Tupac. He's going to be kind of like the Tupac of this generation, but not with all the positive sides of Tupac. It's really a lot more negative, a lot darker, in my opinion. It's a really dark energy. I like Youngboy, but it's just the truth. But yeah, that's the end of the video. And, old heads, again, don't have a heart attack by me calling him kind of like Youngboy, or kind of like the Tupac of this generation. Don't have a heart attack. But I think what I said in this video is for the most part true. But yeah, if you agree, leave a comment down below. If you disagree, tell me that I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Nobody cares about Youngboy. He has no energy. Nobody cares about him. His fans don't care. Like, whatever you got to say in the comments, leave it down below. But I really do believe he kind of is like Tupac of this generation, just without the community activist, without the, looking back on the community, without that recollection, without that kind of reflection on the black community and where it's at. Like, he doesn't really have that. He doesn't have the conscious side of Tupac that really was a big part of Tupac. Like, that's honestly probably the biggest part of Tupac, at least in my opinion, was his consciousness and him being kind of woke on the microphone. And Youngboy has literally zero of that, but the same kind of effect on people. But if you like it, leave a like. If you like this video, if you made it this far, I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you, again, leave a like, leave a subscribe. I'm trying to pay off this college tuition, but that's the end of my video. Have a good day. Be safe. Be blessed. Peace.